as we get further into this, the with each layer, I can detail a bit more and a little bit more, and then this thing will actually feel like an actual painting. So you could see sort of the process. I've just got something in the background there. I've got, layers built up, like a dark layer that's set on multiply. And I'm just going to, you know what? I'm just going to be destructive as heck, and I'm just going to go and merge that down. And now I'm going to paint over it again. Um, Now I'm going to start painting maybe some of the highlights as well. So I'm doing this on a new layer. With the highlights, I think I can go a bit more opaque with it. And I'm not sure. I'm painting the paw. Yeah. Let's see. The tricky part about drawing a paw hand that is casting a glowing spell is it is the light source. So how do I render it out? Um, how do I render it out? It being the light source. Like, where are my shadows if something is the light source? That I have not figured out. Let me look at this reference again. See how they did it. Oh, okay. See here how that hand is in the shadow? And then that, yeah, kind of nice.
So the hand's not actually in the light source itself.
Yeah. Or maybe, I know, maybe the spell itself is happening like in front and not all around it, right? So, so let's say, for example, if the spell was happening here as a source, like this, maybe that might be good. Which also means that I might need to change up the elbow and hand position a little bit, but it's okay. I'm just going to paint this in for now. I'm just going to try to keep it rough. I'm not going to. And also the kind of brush I'm using, not that important really. It just needs to be rough, have some kind of a scumble to it. Yeah, make sure that I indicate the hood. Here's the bottom of that ear. It's going to get hit with the this light right here. Right. And then the bottom of this hand right here is going to get hit with that as well. Kind of like this. Basically drawing this part out so that it's clear, like, hey, look, light's coming from this direction. Here's the hair on the lion, the mane that's going to cover a little bit of the face, and this nose. The eye. I'm going to think of the eye of the lion as kind of a sphere as well. So there's going to be a little bit of a highlight here. Right. Definitely a glint on the wet eyeball. Oh, it might be cool to have glowy eyes. Ooh, I'm magic. I think the lions have sort of that Egyptian style makeup almost to them.
Yeah,
They've got like these, this black right here. It almost feels like the ancient Egypt type. Yeah. The eyeshadow, yeah, or eyeliner. And then there's also this part right here, the bone right here, the cheekbone. That'll probably get hit a little bit. And that comes down here. And also the temple around here get hit a little bit as well. And this I'm treating like a beard. You guys see how this is happening? Almost like a pastel drawing, the way I'm kind of scuffing it out. Again, not too detailed yet. I'm just kind of roughing it in, trying to figure it out. It's gonna be like an arm here, I guess. And I haven't really figured out the wizard robe yet. That's gonna bite me later. I just know it. And I kind of like the idea of there being some kind of a strap or something here. Yeah. So that it could have like a pouch of some sort right here, right? So again, I'm adding to the accessories now. Probably want some other things here. Some undefined things, I'm not sure. Maybe a dagger, pouch, something. Definitely the staff is still here, so it's going to get hit by this highlight. And then the paw. Cats are pretty cool in that their arms, I guess the front, the arms actually can move like human arms, meaning they could swipe left and right. It's harder. Yeah, it's harder for dogs to do that, swiping left and right. Um, oh yeah, and there's also probably going to be hair coming out here as well. This is where you can define the edge of the head here. Notice I'm using positive and negative shapes, light against dark, dark against light, so then I can define that. And then of course here's some light on this arm. And then, oh yeah, down here. This part's gonna start fading, just so you know. It really shouldn't be nearly as bright as everything up there. Yeah, I'm thinking like an orb thing. I'm kind of a... So this point should be brighter than anything that's down there. As I go, I'm further defining this. Eventually, I'm going to have to commit, but just trying to flesh out the details. Something like that. I think I kind of went too bright, so I'm just going to knock down the opacity of this a little bit. Like that. Just going to fade it down a little bit, and then I'm going to merge again. And then I'm going to make a new layer. And this is where I'm going to have the really bright brights. Right here. And as I do this, I'm moving to a smaller and smaller brush. Right? More detail, smaller brush. Makes sense?
Is that new set or brushes new set?
Yeah, I'm just working off of just some... Oh, I can change it right now if you want.
Was that something on the screen that was good?
Yes. I just put it up on there. And also, you start changing up the edges of it. It's a harder edge, smaller brush as you get more detailed with it. So I think I like the idea. Maybe he's wearing some kind of gauntlet armor. I'm not sure. But I don't know. What kind of a pattern? I think because he's a lion, I'm going to go with the druid pattern. Druid stone carving. Do you guys know about this stuff? Ancient druid carving. So we all know what a Celtic carving looks like, right? But then there's like even more ancient, even older world, and they've got these cool swirls, and it's more primitive in the way it's carved. So this is like a good example of it, you know. And this is, by the time you got to the Celtic knots, I think a lot of Catholic influence was already falling there. But this is back when it was considered more of a pagan society, the sort of ancient druid stuff. So I'm gonna think about maybe adding some of these swirl patterns to the armor, just because I don't know. It's probably, if he's a lion wizard, he's probably one of those like nature Gaia kind of, you know, probably not a tech wizard. Right? So I'm just making sort of swirly kind of patterns to this armor. This. And with the cloth, I think I'm going to start defining some of this stuff now. So what I did there was I just made a selection tool, because otherwise you get a bunch of these random brush strokes and they don't look like anything. So I'm just gonna just start defining, and this is very similar to what I've already taught with the sort of animated style of things. Got some cloth here. I'm just gonna paint it in like that. And then this is, I don't know, the edge of the hood, maybe. You should probably define that as well. This is what I mean, like, as you get more detailed, you start getting into a smaller brush. And this is where your brush strokes actually come in. It starts becoming more important, sort of the aesthetics of your brush strokes. You don't want nearly as rough and scumbly as I was doing before. Now you kind of want it to flow with, like, let's say, for example, if the wind is blowing a certain direction, well, all your brush strokes rendering out the hair should kind of reflect that. You don't really want to go counter to it. This is probably going to be like a leather strap of some sort, and there's probably going to be a buckle on there. I'm just going to start indicating a buckle. And then this is going to be like an apothecary jar, some sort. There's going to be a little bit glass, so there might be some shininess to it. Remember, this was going to be a dagger. So I'm going to start defining more of what the dagger might look like. What was this going to be? Oh, this was going to be a pouch of some sort. Some kind of a wizard's pouch. Anybody have any questions as to how I'm painting this? I can. It'd be like a. So the way to do that would be, you actually, I think you have to really define planes on it if you want it to feel like it's a gem of some sort. I'm gonna have this part as being gray. I'm gonna go back in, selection tool. That part's gonna be brighter. Dang it. Spider. It's not playing. This a little bit darker. Something like that. I'm letting the light source determine how to define the painting, right? The shapes. I'm letting him fade in from the light. Ooh, that's even brighter. Oh yeah, I was gonna make this a gauntlet too, so let's do that. I like that. And then, oh yeah, this part should also show. There's like the hood that's covering him. So the edge of it should also show. I think that's the wrong position for the ear. The ear should probably be here instead. I was just color picking from the gray and just painting it out and color picking the highlights and painting back in. I'm not entirely sure if I'm digging this the bangs on them. Maybe one or two strands, but not full bangs. Is he wearing a headband? I didn't think about that. I think he should be. Huh? This is like the hood that I'm rendering here. See, like he's got like a wizard's hood, very similar to this dude right here. That idea. I know this is gonna be kind of tedious, but sorry. It's part of the process, though. Is you're just kind of painting in lights, darks, different values, and kind of defining, what it is. But you can see I'm starting to get more of the image as I go by just picking what we call next neighbor values. So I find like a value nearby that can work, and so then I'll just use that. Something like this. Something like that. Now I'm about to do something that you guys are probably gonna go like, really? Yeah.
Erase all.
Similar. I'll show you.
Oh no.
Don't get too precious. We'll merge this down. See how we were here? Now we got to here. I'm gonna merge it down. I'm gonna create a new layer. Gonna hit that multiply again. And just gonna darken everything down yet again. But this time, I'm gonna pick a color. What color is the magic? Blue. Blue? You can do that. Multiply. And I'm just gonna find myself a nice scuffle brush. Try another one. You get what I'm doing right here? I got high contrast, brightest brights, darkest darks, and I'm knocking in a midtone. And then I'm just going to start erasing out my midtone and then bringing back the highlights again. But over here, as we get further down here, it should start fading into darkness again a bit more. So this area is going to actually be a little bit darker in that area. And the area that we really need to nail down on this is this area right here, right? If this area is super detailed, we can indicate the rest of the image. So this is the, whoa, something's happened. Okay, so this is the tint I just added to everything. And even on that tint, I darken all this stuff down here because notice how this area right here was kind of bright. I darkened it all down. Okay. Darken that part, darken this part, and it's fading in.
Painting with the multiplier.
Yep. And so this is glazing yet again. And then with the glaze, you can start painting in or deleting out. So let's start off with just erasing out. Remember, the magic is right here. This really helps to know where your light source is. I don't think you can do it without knowing where your light source is. Because where else would I detail? A lot of my friends that are really good at rendering, they really don't like rendering. Because a lot of what rendering is just fundamental mechanics, right? It's If I was going to make the gem on that staff glow, I think it would have to glow a different color. Otherwise, it will be perceived as being the same color as this guy right here. So you could make it a ruby of some sort or something like that, just to contrast it. See, like that. And now we can introduce a new light source, some kind of a reddish color to offset that blue everywhere. And it's very important that you understand what's your primary light source and what is your secondary light source. Okay, the primary light source is the brightest light source. The secondary light source, a little bit more faint. You know, if you add in even a third one, really faint. Okay, so don't have your light sources try to compete with each other. If they start competing with one another, then it can, I don't know, it can get confusing. It kind of, because the light draws your eye, and then it gets confusing as to where do you want my eye to look? Right. See there? Over here, I'm just going to start painting in a little bit of that red. Every time, you know, it just kind of creeps in a little bit, you know. But you don't really want to have any of that red start affecting all this stuff on the right-hand side. Maybe just a little bit, but less as you get further away from the light source. A lot of that should just be common sense, but you'd be surprised. Jeff Bridges? It was a movie called The Seventh Son. It wasn't great, but I like the costumes. You get dark, or one light source hits the other. It's going to start getting dark. We could fix it. I don't know. It's just kind of right now. I'm more concerned about the values and less so about the values and the light. I'm more concerned about that. I'm going to define the edge of this jar right now, and the edge of the sword right here. Kind of like that. See how I knocked it all down again? but now it's more intimate. I'm just going to merge that. I'm curious what this might look like without color or playing around with the color, but let's see. If I made a new layer right now and just made this new layer sepia color, I wonder what that'll look like. So I've set this on color. So that's kind of how it would look like if everything was sepia color. Not terrible. What might be good is getting something in between. So it's kind of faint. So before, after, a little faint. And then I'll just erase on that sepia color where I have the magic. And there's more saturation here. And more saturation here. Merge it down. Like, this is so destructive. But every time I'm getting a little bit further. I'm getting a little bit further. Oh, shoot.
Do we have to make it look destructive?
What do you mean?
Like,
You could be working in layers this whole time, I guess. But there is something about painting on top of things. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay. So, for example, right now it's at 36 minutes. I should stop here, but when we come back, I'll show you the silhouette. Okay.